I wanted to do a bit of a scene with each of your characters, sort of either picking up this job or on the way to the job or something. Who would like to go first here? Oh, sorry, before we begin also, it may also be good if everybody could just drop their character names in the Discord chat so that I have a record of who's who. It'll keep me seriously
That's very you, Mars.
Alright, so put everybody here. Let's go in the order you names. Actually, no, I had a specific scene I think that we did for Quicksilver. So, let's say Quicksilver, if you want to describe your character to us real quick, I can also put
Yeah. I'd say that's a pretty accurate description of her.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah, maybe if that art is good enough physical description, maybe a description of like her mannerisms. I guess I describe the scene.
Sure, she seems like a very carefree, casual person, but she has a bit of a crazy look in her eye.
Alright. So, Quicksilver, you're in a very dark room right now. There's a bunch of sort of haphazard thrown together technology around you, and a few tables that somebody has been building something on in the middle of the room. You've not been offered a chair, but the person in the room is sitting currently as they type away at a terminal in front of them. And you have come here with a need. We don't need to specify that need yet, we can keep it a secret, but I'll assume at this point you have already asked for what you're here for, and this man sitting in the chair, we'll call Red, says, you know, what you're asking for, that's a pretty tough one. That's gonna be pretty pricey. Some might even call it impossible, but, you know, us here, in the shadows, the impossible's our job. That's what we do. So what do you think? One last job? Just one?
Well, if that's all it takes to get me out, I'll do it. I'll do anything.
Excellent, excellent. Slams a few more characters on his keyboard and then hits the enter key, spins back around the face and says, it'll be a pleasure doing business with you.
Pleasure is all mine.
We'll be in touch. And he spins back around and returns. Who would like to go next?
I can.
Absolutely.
So I am playing Woe, who is a approximately 6'5", dark-skinned individual, pronounced she/they. She is dressed mostly in leather. She has a leather biker vest and pants that are adorned with buckles and straps and thick knee pads. She has workman's boots on. The left arm is adorned in a dragon tattoo that is colored around the edges to almost look like it's on fire. And her right arm is this like jet black prosthetic that is the fingers are clawed and gold.
All right.
And she has silver eyes and spongy curls of reddish black hair.
Yeah, yes, please.
And she spends most of her time off the job working as a mechanic in the gear shop.
Alright, very cool. So let's jump into a scene in that gear shop right now then. As you're working on something, on a a vehicle, obviously. Would it be your personal vehicle or somebody's that is a client?
At the moment, not a personal vehicle. Her bike is currently in fairly good shape. It's just another vehicle. Just the client has brought in very beat up. You don't really see a lot of very intact vehicles coming into the shop, especially since it's independent, out of the eyes of the more well-established corporate shops. But when she's not working on machines, her personal projects tend to be repairing bass guitars.
Gotcha. Okay, makes sense. So, you can assume that since all of your characters here are on their last job, they're either trying to get out of the game, trying to make themselves rich to retire, trying to get something they've always wanted, whatever it is, right? I assume that all of your characters are fairly skilled and have been in the game for a long time. Would you say that Will is also like a extremely skilled technician, like a mechanic?
Yes, one who has expertise, perhaps, in rigging.
Oh, perfect. So we'll say then, yeah, this extremely beat up vehicle that's been brought to the shop. It's probably it appears to be. It appears to have gone through a gunfight recently. There's bullet holes all over it. Parts of it are scorched and burnt away from things that have ignited that definitely were not designed to ignite. And you are, regardless, effortlessly working away at pulling things off, fixing things, welding where it needs to be done. And during all of this, you are answering a phone call. Doesn't even matter that you're doing what you're doing. You're so skilled at this task that you can speak on the phone completely fine while doing this intense work. And we hear crackling over your communication device that's probably just built into some of your cyberware. Yeah, that's right. I said a train. I know, crazy, right? A train. not the usual deal for these kinds of jobs, but you understand, yeah.
You've said that about the last two.
I know, but the last one, and then you get it, yeah?
The last,
of course. So you're in there.
It's what it'll take to make sure we stay independent.
All right, I will write you in here and... Okay. Excellent. Thank you very much. And the line cuts. You get back to your work. Camera pans out. Who's up next?
I can be.
All right.
Falcon is like 5 foot on a good day. She is, she uses she, her pronouns. She's very much looks like a woman. More like a girl sometimes, depending on how she styles it. Her skin is translucent, so like you can see all her veins and stuff underneath, but it's got like this greenish tinge to it that kind of just makes everything look a little sickly. She's got deep purple hair, and it's braided and goes to her mid-back, and one of her eyes is like so black the iris and the pupil seem like one thing. The other eye is mechanical and like makes zooming sounds sometimes. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, she's wearing fairly innocuous clothes, and in particular is in this for a specific piece of information.
Okay, fair enough. So, if Falcon needed to get across the city, what would be their transportation choice, assuming you weren't on just public
transportation? She'd pick something that blends in easily. Her whole thing is she can pass as an innocent kid if she needs to, so nobody suspects her when she steals things, stabs somebody, that kind of deal. She'd probably choose like some sort of bike or maglev scooter, depending on what part of town she's in.
Alright. So you're on this maglev scooter sounds great, so we'll go with that. As you head towards a cluster of skyscrapers that you know contains the largest train station in the city, we hear, again, crackling over your communications device. And remember, you cannot fuck this up. It's extremely important. The shadows are depending on you here. You got it? We can trust you, right?
I get it. This information doesn't come cheap, and you know I want this.
Of course. Yeah, I know, and I know I'm working with a professional. I just needed that extra reassurance. It's that important.
Oh yeah, you know what's at stake to me. I'm not gonna screw this up.
All right. We'll see you when you get here.
All right, or not. Maybe I see you first.
And the line cuts. So we see Falcon zooming off into the distance. The camera pans up in the city. And Joystick, what's going on with you?
Yeah. Joystick is in a. It's like in a machine shop, but it's not like the machine shop that Woe was in. His is more of a drone shop, and Joystick is he's a wiry guy. He's pretty thin. He's skinny, but he's also not terribly tall. He's like 5'4". He's not a big guy. His main defining features are he's shaved almost completely bald. He's got a kind of a triangular metallic horn coming out of his left, out of the left side of his forehead, and there's a metallic band that wraps around most of the way around to the back of his head. He's just tinkering away at a drone right now.
All right. If I might change the scenery, if that's okay.
Sure.
All right. So we'll say actually you are at the train station, right? Closer and closer. And we see you entering a code into a number pad, a set of lockers that you pop open. It makes like a hydraulic sound as it lifts itself open. And there is a jet black, almost shiny metallic briefcase inside, with a note on it that says, like a little just piece of paper folded in half in bold writing written, "Remember, be very careful."
Careful. I try to be careful, but it never quite works out. I'll try. Let's see how this one goes. I need this. I need this.
So we see Joystick walking towards a monorail with this briefcase in hand. The doors swoosh open, you step on, and immediately inside the doors you see 3 other runners that you recognize from the files you've been sent. You all recognize Joystick. This is the group that has been assembled for this job. I assume, even if you all haven't worked with each other, it is likely you've at least heard of each other. You would all have pretty strong reputations as veterans in this field at this point. So, yeah, you'd have heard of the reputation of each other, and when it was announced to you who you'd be working with, you probably would note that. So I imagine there's some sort of respect between you, or at least some sort of trust, but maybe you don't trust anyone. That's not my choice to make, but regardless, you know exactly who it is you're looking for.
Yeah. One of the first things you guys notice about Falcon is even though her file says she's 27 and her picture with her hair down makes her look like she's 27, right now she could pass for a 15-year-old. So she's got her hair braided, she's carrying a backpack, she could be a school kid.
Yeah, speaking of your appearances, I should ask, what is everybody selecting for a load here?
I've got a medium.
I'm going with the medium load as well. And I would say from her files and just from her reputation, you would know Quicksilver is a high-profile assassin.
And then, Joystick's kind of got like a large pack on his back, in addition to the briefcase he's carrying.
Falcon, too.
Falcon's got a light load. She's got what can hide on her person and what can fit in that little backpack she's got.
Well, we'll take a heavy load.
Alright, Woe is ready for anything.
Numerous holsters and pouches and bags.
Yeah,
Joystick sees how conspicuous she is, and he just thinks back to the note in the briefcase that said, "Be discreet." Ugh.
not taking any chances with this last run.
Can I ask what the cyber deck is / does?
Sure. I mean, the game doesn't define it in any given way, but I would assume you would use a cyber deck to hack things.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. So you all sit down, acknowledge each other, perhaps make these couple of comments as you see each other, and the train takes off. You are all in car number 18 at the moment, and it's not packed. You're each able to find a seat fairly easily, all near each other, but it's not empty either. There's perhaps another dozen or so people scattered across this train car. You see everyone from what appears to be like students on their way to school to these very elderly businessmen in suits surrounded by these bodyguards that are obviously transporting this very important person on the train for some reason. You're not sure why, but hey, they're going somewhere. And everyone in between here. It is quite a hodgepodge of people. And you take in your surroundings, you take in your objective here. You're reminded of your objective, which was, let me double check the exact wording here. Your objective is to deliver the package to the extraction point at car number 22 of this train. So that objective flashes up before you all as you're re-notified and reminded of what you're doing here. And as that pops up, and as you all prepare to get going on this, quite suddenly, the door behind you closes shut. You didn't even hear it open before, and something clatters across the floor, landing just between all of you. It's a flashbang. The flashbang goes off, and if everyone... This will be a little bit of, I would say, a temporary harm to you if you don't resist it, because obviously it's a fucking flashbang, but it's not going to permanently harm you. It would just impose a temporary penalty on your rolls, essentially, if you were flashbanged. So if everyone wants to resist it, they may. That's up to you guys, how you approach that. There's multiple options there.
I think yeah, Joystick will resist it. He'll see the flashbang going off, and it doesn't matter that it went off. A small drone pops out of his pack, and he can still see through his drone Neuralink.
Okay, that makes sense. So if you're using your augment for resistance, I think you check off the special resistance box, and you don't have to pay stress.
Cool.
We can also roll to attempt to resist.
Yeah, so resistance, if you want to roll, you choose an approach. You don't add a skill. Let's see, you can use gear you can deplete gear specifically to add extra dice to it. And then, yeah, it's a standard D6 dice pool roll. Highest number is the result, and then we compare it to the table to see how much stress it inflicts on you to resist it.
Okay. So I'm gonna declare that Woe has the survival kit on her person.
Okay.
As part of this, and part of the survival kit is actually the mask and glasses that she has on. There's the mask does voice modulation and filtration. And the glasses are actually specially designed to help against sudden flashes.
Okay.
So if the survival kit has 3 uses to it, do I deplete 1 use or do I deplete all of it?
Yeah, deplete 1 use of it. I think that's fair.
Okay.
Cool. And which approach are you taking here of the 4?
Good question. I'd like to think that this sudden flashbang doesn't really surprise or phase Woe all that much. So would an aggressive approach work? Just to be like, I don't give a shit.
Sure. Yeah.
Already
I like
mid
that.
motion to stand up.
I like that interpretation. Yeah, yeah. You're you're a badass. So the aggressive badass take here. So yeah. So if you expend the charge of that, and you can roll your aggressive number of dice plus 1.
So I have aggressive 2, so I'll have 3 dice.
All right. All right.
4.
Okay, 4 as the highest means your result is not bad. You suffer 2 stress, but you do avoid the actual complication there, so you do not take the harm.
All right. Got that marked.
Let's go with Falcon next. What are you doing?
Falcon sees something out of the corner of her eye and immediately does like armadillo or pillbug shell. She drops, ducks her head, plugs her ears, closes her eyes.
All right.
So using like smart reflexes kind of deal.
Sure, I like that. Yeah, just
See something fly out of the corner of her eye, registers it as a threat, and just goes fetal.
Yeah, I like that. So you can go ahead and roll your smart number of dice, and we'll see what the highest is.
I rolled a 4, a 5, and a 6.
How did you roll 3?
I have 2 smart? Wait.
Yeah, did you?
So...
you can expend gear to add 1 for the 3rd.
Okay, never mind. I'll just roll 2 again.
Okay, thank you.
3 and 6.
All right, a 6 is solid. That says mark 1 stress, and you do avoid the complication.
All right.
And what is Quicksilver doing?
Can she try and duck for cover behind something? Do like a smart athletics?
You can do smart, but you do not add a skill to a resistance roll.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so 4 is mixed again. That is 2 stress, and you do manage to avoid being completely blinded. So I guess technically Joystick got blinded, but has other ways of seeing. But regardless, all of you got through this without losing your actual sense of vision here or being disoriented, and you're all now immediately on alert because you can see, I imagine all of your characters have some sort of heads-up display installed as some of your cyberware. That seems like it would be a pretty standard piece of kit. And you can see that the far door opposite of the one that the flashbang was thrown out of has a little progress bar popping up over it, indicating that it is being electronically locked. And you see people in dark suits and heavy armor gathering up outside the door to the train, ready to breach into it. What are you doing?
So are the enemies in the direction that we're trying to go, or the door that's being locked is in the direction we're trying to go?
Let's see. So the enemies. The enemies are in the opposite direction. The enemies are from the low number of doors you were trying to
And the locked door is in our way?
Correct. The locked door is in your way, but the enemies are coming from essentially behind you.
Quicksilver's gonna run for cover and just tuck a gun.
Joystick's gonna head directly over to the door and start the locked, the one that's locking in, start trying to prevent that from happening with his cyber deck.
All right. What would you like to roll?
I would. Let's see. Rigging. It's electronics, right?
It's rigging smart.
Yeah, smart.
Rigging smart. I think this is. I think this is pretty neutral. I think So a 2/2. Two effect being you can accomplish your goal in one goal here, and the 2 threat being if you take too long here, the enemies are going to break open that door on the far side, and you're going to be able to
Okay.
So pull out that cyber deck and let's see what that rolls.
I got a 3 and a 2.
3 and a 2, unfortunate. So you pull out the cyber deck and you realize that you know what? You pull out the cyber deck and you realize, unfortunately, that there was a firmware update last night that applied automatically without your consent, and it just broke the whole thing. So I'm gonna mark your cyber deck as glitched. Since you noticed that very quickly, you are able to duck back behind cover just as the enemies break through the far door. So now, the rest of the people in this train car are like shrieking and running and hiding. The bodyguards are like piling up in front of that business. And the soldiers, so to speak, or the enemies that are breaking through the door, they've pulled it open and they're starting to point guns through. Who's up?
The second she has an opening, she's firing shots at these guys.
What are you gonna roll for that?
An aggressive ranged combat.
That tracks. I think I don't notice any edges here. I think you've got 2 and 2. I am also going to add a clock to this one. As you display, identifies these people clearly as the Black Hounds.
6.
Alright, so a 6 is a full success. You manage to hit them with full damage, and they don't have a chance to retaliate. They're quick on the shot. Just as they open the door, they try to aim their gun up at you, but you just pop one of them straight in the head right away. You got 2 Black Hounds. From Whoa.
First instinct would to kind of become a wall against this incoming danger. She's gonna barrel forward, draw what looks to just be a hilt from her belt, flick it out to the side, and then it just suddenly assembles into a long nanotech blade. And we'll go in close combating these fuckers.
Hell yeah, okay. So close combat does seem to track for this. I assume aggressive, but...
Yes.
Okay, cool. So aggressive close combat. Yeah, I think that's just, again, a 2/2 effect here. I don't notice any edges either side.
I have expertise in close combat. I'll trade in a die to gain an edge.
Okay, is it, so your expertise should be a specific, like, word there. Is it like,
Oh, okay.
so it's like brawling or a
okay.
specific weapon or something? So maybe it's expertise with your weapon.
Yeah, as expertise with this sword.
Okay, perfect. So when you're using the sword, yeah, that makes sense. So you're gonna trade in that expertise, that makes sense. So you, oh sorry, did you trade for an edge or for a die?
For an edge.
For an edge, okay. So this would then be, I'm assuming you're using this edge for more offense or more defense as an option?
More offense.
Alright, so this will be then a 2 threat, 3 effect roll.
Noticing that the door's taking a while to get open, I'm gonna give some space. That's a 6. Oh, that's 2 6s actually.
That is 2 6s. That is a critical, so you're going to go up a level. And you know what? There's 4 ticks left on this clock. So Lo gets in there with his blade and just starts slashing through them. At the couple of Black Hounds at the back sort of back off and drop their guns and start to run away. And you have clearly stopped this threat for now. As you killed pretty much all of the guys that were in the train car with you, and this door closes in front of you.
they're not swinging fast with the blade, but the with the combined momentum of just sort of natural strength and also the prosthetic arm that she's using as her dominant, it's just slow, powerful swings that are just tearing apart the frame of the door.
That makes sense. Okay, so perhaps the door, this door on this side get torn. It doesn't even properly close anymore. You see it trying to. It keeps on stopping in place because it can't force itself closed anymore. But the door on the other train that you're connected to is closed. And yeah, you probably in one slice just slice through like 4 people that were all gathered up at that door, and the 2 in the back just flip from that.
Can I use an infiltration gear to pry open the door? Like the locked door?
Yeah, if you want to see what kind of roll that would be, I would say that makes sense.
I was thinking like smart and rigging.
Alright, smart and rigging makes some sense. So you head up to the store, and as you head that way, you actually hear an announcement come over the PA system of the vehicle here.
The use of firearms
is prohibited inside the vehicle.
The Transmetropolitan Monorail
Company, thanks for your compliance.
And so that just sounds off while you're heading over to the other door. The other passengers in this car are still terrified of what's happening here. They're all trying to make as much distance between you and, and themselves as possible, so they easily let you by. What'd you roll?
So I roll the 2 pluses I have for smart, and I add the 1 plus I have for rigging, so that's 3 die?
Yes.
Right. Okay, cool. 6.
All right, so that's a full success. So you head up with this infiltration device, and I don't know exactly what it'd be, but yeah, maybe something for prying does make sense. There's at least some tool in there that lets you pry open these doors. And thanks to it being not like a work of strength here so much as letting the technology do the work, you stick it in there and it just uses an electronic motor to just pull this thing open smoothly. And it just holds the doors open even though the doors are trying to force themselves closed here.
I was thinking kind of like a jammer, and to like disrupt the signal of the door, and then that little mechanical open the door kind of thing.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So you jam the signal there, essentially blocking this door from remaining hacked. It triggers some emergency system that keeps the doors from remaining locked when they have no signal, and then you're able to block it open from there.
Yeah.
That tracks. So you've gotten this door open, and you could proceed from car 18 into car 19 if you want. And I realized I never did this. There we go. Woo, other art. Cool. So you're in this little monorail. You've chased off these black hounds for now, but it's clear that they probably will be back. Some of them made it away. You imagine that against a squad as elite as yourselves, they wouldn't send a single squad of random mooks. So you can imagine there'll be more soon. So yeah, what are the rest of you doing?
I'm going to deploy my drone into the next car to get a good look of what's in there and as far forward as it can go.
Okay. So I won't make you roll for that. That makes sense. You send the drone out just to get a look at what's happening in the car over there. And yeah, so you see in the car, in the direction you're headed, it's just a bunch of normal passengers. They don't seem to have noticed the commotion in this car. It appears that the soundproofing on this vehicle is much better than you would have assumed based on everything that just happened, because they don't seem to notice what's going on at all. I will say, though, during this time, it appears that some of the other passengers around here are trying to make their way into the door that you guys are heading through as well, just trying to make their way away from the direction these black hounds were coming from. So you can either let these guys pass and potentially panic the next train with their panic, or try to keep them in here and keep that one calm. Kind of up to you guys.
I'm just gonna... Sorry, go ahead.
Can I just like slip through, like while they're coming through?
Yeah, just like join the back and head into the next car that way.
Yeah, because like I'm kind of small. I just want to sneak my way in,
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
be unobtrusive.
I was gonna try and do the same thing too.
All right, so if multiple people want to sneak into the next car, we could do like a group roll here. I think there was rules for that. Would the rest of you like to try and sneak in as well, or are you taking different approaches?
Yeah, Joystick will try and sneak best he can. 'Cause he didn't actually do anything aggressive in that last car, so he's just part of the I want it out.
Woe is extremely conspicuous. So
That is true, but it is possible for another member of your group to lead the group in an action, and then essentially they can cover for everyone else's skill in that category, and then it costs them stress, though. So that's an option if you do want to be very stealthy, even if everyone isn't necessarily inherently stealthy.
I can lead, and if I use smart and or no stealthy and streetwise together
Okay.
to like make sure my body posture and like everything doesn't signal any stress, and just I look like a normal person walking from one car to the next.
Okay. I will say in this case now, it does not particularly seem like that would cause you to blend in, because the people that are coming from this car into the next car are running in panic. So if you
Okay.
want to blend in, you might want to try
Yeah.
and be like panicked, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'll mirror their body language.
Okay, perfect. So if everyone wants to take part in this this lead roll, everybody needs to roll stealthy streetwise, and then Falcon will take stress for everybody that marks a failure.
Okay, and also I have expertise in streetwise. I chose specifically blending in because that's kind of my whole deal is looking innocent and not being pinpointed as a suspect. So would that be a good time to use it?
Yeah, so you can either trade one of your dice in the roll for an edge, or you can trade an edge and make it potentially a more dangerous situation for a higher chance of success with an extra die.
I'll trade a dice for an edge.
Okay, so you can either choose an edge that makes the consequences less effective against you, or makes you more effective in what you're doing. Which, I mean, I guess if you're trying to sneak in a given direction, more effect would be you sneak farther for this one action.
Yeah, I'll choose more effect.
Okay, so we'll say then that if you manage this, you would get pretty much all the way to the other end of this next car in this one action. But if you get caught, who knows what could happen. So yeah, go ahead and roll that. Everybody roll stealth plus streetwise, and tell me your number.
I got 5.
5.
All
I
right.
rolled a 6 and a 1, but the 6 is the only one that matters.
All right.
I rolled a 1.
So 1 is one failure for the group then, I believe. So just 1 stress for Falcon. And the rest of you said a 6, Falcon?
Yep.
All right.
I rolled a 6 and a 1.
So you get through without consequence then. Just that 1 stress pays for no consequences when sneaking through this chain as you all blend into the crowd, and Falcon says, follow me, do what I'm doing. You all try to blend into the crowd by mimicking the panicked actions and looking around frantically as if for some of you maybe looking less badass comes less naturally, but you manage it. You get by, and nobody seems to suspect a thing. Perhaps somebody gets a little suspicious at one point, but thanks to the leadership of Falcon actually steps in with a little bit of a distraction, but then goes back to doing what they're doing best, and it all goes fine.
Oh yeah, Falcon breaks into tears and screams, "I want my mommy."
Perfect. So that's a big distraction. It takes people's attention off perhaps the more conspicuous among you, and you're able to safely make it to the other end of this car. All right. So as you're making your way through this car, you're not like sprinting across. I assume you're panicked. You're moving probably somewhat erratically and stuff. But since you're trying to pay attention to your surroundings a little bit, you notice that some of the stuff around you looks a little strange. perhaps many of you have been on these monorails before. Maybe it's been a while if some of you have had your own fancy vehicles from being veteran runners for a while, but you know at the very least the kind of advertisements that have been around town and stuff, and some of the just digital advertisements that are plastered all over this vehicle just seem a little off to you. Some of them look very familiar, but they're just tweaked in some way. We could say, like, for example, there's a Nike ad that says, like, just don't instead, or there's an ad for 7-Eleven that's instead an ad for 1212, or things like that, where the numbers, it looks like it should make sense, but there's details that are out of place.
So my
Can Joystick kind of draw a conclusion that between the door that we went through, like they were trying to hack it closed, and the modified ads, that there's some form of netrunner plugged into this train somewhere?
Definitely something digital going on. Yeah, maybe a netrunner. Maybe somebody is. Maybe the train's just having a bad day. But yeah, something. And especially since you saw the door being hacked, there's something being hacked around here for sure.
So my eye is actually a zoom and enhance eye. It's my left eye.
All right.
Is there any way I can use that to like scan and catalog all the details of what's missing and get an idea of like extrapolate from that what the cause might be or anything like that?
Sure. You want to like try, and you might have to spend a minute like looking at all these things. So the potential loss here is time more than anything, but you could do that. Just looking at all these advertisements, trying to see what's changed, cataloging all the information. That's definitely something you could do with a roll.
Okay. Smart analyze?
Yeah, that seems to track for me. I think that would again just be a. You know what? I think this would be a 2-1 threat. So yeah, 2 effect, 1 threat. The only threat here really is that you're losing a little bit of time if you mess up here. So.
Okay, rolling 3 dice. 5.
A 5. Okay, so it does take you a minute then. The consequence does happen, but you do manage to catalog all this information. And yeah, you see a few things that you take note of. A lot of the positive nature of these advertisements has been turned to negative, like I said, with like the Nike ad or whatever the cyberpunk Nike would be, and so on. And basically anywhere there would be a number, it has changed to the number 12. So things have changed to like any positive language has been turned to negative language, and any number has been changed to 12 is like the pattern you see.
Is there anything significant about the number 12 in this circumstance?
That you're not sure of, but you do notice that the number 12 is coming up an awful lot around here. And while you're thinking that, the PA system continues to chirp with some announcements.
Enjoy refreshments from our vending machines spread throughout the train.
And this car, the people that have panicked and run in here start to sort of diffuse amongst those who are not panicked, and the people that were in here originally have started to get a little bit antsy, and the people that ran out here are starting to get a little bit more calm. But you seem to have blended in pretty well so far still, and you're at the far end of this car, at the door, the end of car 19 heading into car 20.
Buy 12, don't get 12. Seems like a bad deal.
True. You can see, I think you spend this time, you get to the other end, and one of you, let's just say, whoa, out of the corner of your eye, perhaps you've hung back a little bit since you're a little more conspicuous. You look over your shoulder casually at one point, trying not to draw attention to yourself, and you see just the glint of light off the like black helmets of people coming down the car behind you.
We've got more.
Start making my way to the next car.
I'm gonna try and lock the door behind us once we get through the door into the next car.
Okay. This door does not appear to be locked, so you can go ahead and push your way through and just lock it behind you. I'd say you probably don't have access to the systems here, so I might need some sort of roll for you to actually lock this door, especially
Sure.
in
So
a short amount of time.
I've got some microtronics tools. I'm just gonna fiddle with the whatever the control pad is on this side.
Okay, yeah, that tracks. What kind of action do you think you'd take for this? To see if you can do it
This would
quickly?
be smart and rigging.
Okay, that makes sense. Smart and rigging. I'd say 2-2. The 2 threat here is because obviously this will take you some time, and the threat is apparently imminent as guys are walking down the car nearby.
Okay. Let's see. So I would normally roll 2, but I could trade an edge to roll an additional die because I have 2 in rigging. Yes.
Only if you have an expertise in rigging.
Oh, okay. What else is so? Quick rules question. What else are those good for? Do you have to have expertise to use them, or when else does
So,
that come into play?
Yeah, good question. So an expertise, if you, during character creation, if you already had 2 dots in a skill, but you wanted to push it even farther, you could spend one of your dice to write down a word next to those 2 dots, and then whenever that word is relevant, you could apply your expertise. So for example, athletics, if you already had 2 dots in that and you wanted to apply a third, you could say sprint or parkour, and then that would be your athletics expertise is sprint, and with with that you.
But do you need expertise to use the skills?
No, sorry, only to do the trade thing.
Okay.
You can always trade your threat and effect around. For example, if you have
Okay.
a 2-2,
I see. It says expertise specifically. Got it.
Yes.
Okay. So what else does marking a skill do for you then?
So when you make a roll, if you are applying if you're applying that skill, you get to apply the roll. So normally a roll is 1 approach plus 1 skill. So in this case, you're doing, I don't know, this might be science, for example. Sciences plus smart could be an example of what could apply here, or rigging plus smart could work maybe. So you would apply both numbers together. So if you have 2 dots in rigging and 2 dots in smart, you would roll 4 dice, for example.
Okay, got it. Okay, so I have 2 dots in rigging, so I roll 4 dice for this.
Perfect. Okay.
I got a 6, 2 3s, and a 4.
All right, so 6 will do it. That's a full success. You very quickly, with your skill in rigging, you are able to get this door locked by interfacing with the pad here. Perhaps you actually pop off part of it and work with some of the innards instead of interfacing with it directly, using some of these tools you've brought with you. And yep, the door shuts, and you see that same progress bar over it that you saw before, indicating that it has been electronically locked. And you hear a loud click as some of the deadbolts lock into place on this door. Yeah, so this door is locked. You see the Blackhounds that were rushing down the corridor to you point out at the door as the bar is filling up. Like, they notice this is happening, they start to rush, but they don't get there in time. They're like pounding on the door, and somebody's starting to work on the door, but you've bought yourself some time.
Yeah. All right, go. I bought us some time. Get out of here. Let's go.
All right.
Let's go.
Yep. Question. We have this package, right?
Yes, it's the briefcase that I'm carrying.
Okay.
Cool. Good to know. Did not know that earlier.
So you said like run, go, and then the PA system kicks in again.
Running can cause accidents. Please,
Do not run.
walk instead.
So that plays over the system. What do you guys do?
I didn't hear anything.
Oh, it should be playing through Foundry. I can just read it to you, though. So far, the PA system has said a couple things. It said the use of firearms is prohibited inside the vehicle. The Transmetropolitan Monorail Company thanks you for your compliance. Another one was just a generic one about enjoying the refreshments from the vending machines. And then this one was running can cause accidents. Please do not run. And then in a very garbled voice at the end, it said, go back instead.
Oh boy.
All right, whoever's controlling this train AI is on the side of the Blackhounds, which I think we knew that, but
I'm just gonna like walk with a purpose.
All right. So you continue to. So are you guys walking and trying to blend in, or are you just booking it at this point? I guess I should ask, because the Blackhounds are right behind you.
I'm just booking it.
Yeah, we should move with some purpose. Some time has been bought, but it's not going to be forever.
All right.
Great.
So I'd like to say then, if you're trying to really make good time here down this train car, I'd like a roll from y'all to see how quickly you make it there, if any complications arise as you go. So if somebody wants to lead a group action, that would be perfect. If not, we can break it down into 4 separate roles, but that tends to be worse for y'all, so I would recommend a group action.
I could lead something.
Alright.
I do have the athletics skill. Woe is. Well, Woe was not particularly minded for staying blended in. We definitely should probably be smart about how we run. Conserving our energy by pacing ourselves well, and also keeping an eye out so that we don't bump into people and things and cause havoc for ourselves by tripping over each other. So I'm gonna say it would be smart athletics.
All right. So you are, let's see, I think you made your way into car 20 at this point, and you're rushing down car 20.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, if this is a group-led action, and then everyone's doing smart athletics, it sounds like, to see how many stress will take. Ooh.
Nice.
Fortunately for you, I'm good at these things.
I rolled a 2.
Ooh, 1 stress.
I rolled 2 6s and a 4.
Ooh, I think that means this becomes a critical success. But so 1 stress for Woe. This is a critical success. Did everyone roll? I think everyone rolled. Good. So with a critical success, you guys book it down this car, and you manage to see that the Blackhounds have given up on making their way through the door that you are that you have locked behind you, and instead, you can start to see Blackhounds like rappelling around the outside of this vehicle. It appears that there are many of them, and there are some on the roof, and they've been alerted to the situation inside. But you make it to the next car before the ones that are outside these windows here can quite make it in. What do you do once you're on the other side? Now in car 21.
Can I take stock, see what's going on in here?
Absolutely. You stop and look around as you get here, just in case. And this car, the panic hasn't made its way in here yet, although all of you rushing into the car has caused a little bit of a stir. Some people look up from what they're reading, or some people that are listening to music pull off their headphones and give you a look like, why are you running in the train? And as you get here, another PA thing gets announced.
We will reach destination in minutes.
Which said, for those of you that aren't hearing it for whatever reason, it says, we will reach destination in garbled static minutes. And you look around the car to see what's going on here, and you do see some strange things, actually. You see a middle-aged man in an executive suit that looks very similar to the guy you saw a few train cars ago, but he doesn't look as elderly, and he doesn't have bodyguards. And he's completely emotionless, looking at a tablet he's holding in front of him that is turned off. And he looks like he's reading something, but the screen is turned off. You see somebody listening to music, who I mentioned earlier, a young teen who's holding onto a backpack slung over their shoulder, and they're singing along silently to what appears to be some sort of pop song and sort of dancing in place, but they're doing it at half speed. They appear to be very slowly lip syncing and very slowly dancing. There is a couple down the train at the very far end who kind of looked up at you as you dashed into the car, a little bit surprised, but they are like leaning in together, taking a selfie, and then they lean back away to look at it and like smile and point at different parts of the selfie. Then they lean in together and take the same selfie again, and they appear to be like stuck in a loop. There's something weird here.
That seems a little bit more than a work of a netrunner.
Can I just like quote unquote accidentally stumble into the kid who's listening to music?
Sure. So you go up, you quote unquote accidentally stumble into the kid who's listening to music, and they, as soon as you hit them, they stop dancing. They fall to their knees on the floor and they just begin uncontrollably weeping. They are no longer dancing, they're no longer singing, they're just crying, wiping the tears from their face, and then they start to dissolve into dust in the air and completely disappear.
They put us in a fucking simulation, I swear.
Are there any of the other people in this car react?
Nobody reacts. As you look around, you're now all on high alert for any other details you might notice. You see, you look out the windows of the train, and you swear you already passed these buildings once before. Twice before? You've passed this. You've certainly been here. You're feeling this weird deja vu.
Joystick will quickly head back into the previous car to see if anything has changed there.
All right, so you see the previous car completely empty. No passengers, no blackhounds. Completely empty.
Hey, crew, there's nobody in the car we came out of. What do we do? Where are we going? I was not ready for this.
As we're all looking around, Woe removes the lower half of the mask from her face and pulls out a cigarette, lights it, and it starts to kind of smoke strangely green, and just takes a long drag from it and mutters, "What did that rat put us up to?"
I'm going to, with my infiltration gear, I'm gonna smash one of the windows and then drop a tracking device out the window.
Smash the window, drop the tracking device out. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I might ask for some kind of roll because breaking a window is not a particularly safe act, nor is it a particularly easy one on a very expensive public transport like this. I don't imagine they make their glass super easy to break in a cyberpunk city where shootouts happen all the time. So some kind of roll to get this done, I think.
Aggressive close combat?
Sure, to punch that open. I think that tracks. I think the threat level is only 1 here. There's no like active engagement with you, and yeah, the effect is to still could like cut yourself with glass or hurt your arm or something.
3.
A 3 total. Okay, so you go to punch the glass, and your hand just kind of ricochets off it. Like you don't expect the amount of rebound you get from it a little bit, and you kind of jam your wrist up a little bit. I think that would be level 1 harm, unfortunately.
Okay.
So with level 1 harm, you have -1 effect. As you're distracted by the pain, or the pain keeps you from acting, with complete competence.
Can I use a med kit to fix that?
Sure. I think that tracks. What are the rest of you doing while Falcon is patching themselves up?
I see them try to break the window, and I'll try to do the job instead, I suppose.
All right, you guys just break the same window.
To take the sword and just smash it against.
Okay.
So rolling. So aggressive close combat rolling. Nice.
That works.
It's a 5.
A 5. Okay. So I think some. Let's see. Now I have an idea for this. So you slash through the window. Your what was it, a nano blade or something like that?
Yeah, like a nanotech sword.
Nanotech sword, thank you. So your nanotech sword easily cuts through the glass thanks to its properties, and you're able to make a couple slices. Again, you mentioned kind of bigger, slower slices that cut through probably the window and part of the frame holding it as well, and then you're able to just kind of push out some sections of the window that you've cut into triangles. And now you've got a gap outside, but this has taken you a second, and you can see that now the train car behind you is no longer empty again. You see an extremely heavily armored, you actually probably hear them first, an extremely heavily armored Blackhound thud, thud, thud coming through that train car behind you. And they appear to reach out with one large, probably exoskeleton covered hand that grips the door between the cars and just starts to peel it back. But you do have the window open.
Can I drop the tracker out before anybody gets too close?
Sure. So you throw the tracker outside the train, and you'll be able to read that later. Probably won't tell you very much now, I think, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point was to gauge if the train is actually moving.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So you drop that out, and then perhaps later you can check in on its status again and see what's going on.
Yeah. So I drop it, and then I book it to the next one, because I have my loadout, and it doesn't include any weapons.
Alright. So you realize you go to book it to the next one, and there is a late teenage boy standing there who appears to just be riddled with bullets. You don't hear any gunshots fired. You didn't hear any combat happening around you recently. The only thing that happened was you slicing open that window, and yet there's this, he's just covered in blood, and he's kind of holding his hands out in front of him, covered in his own blood, and he looks up at you, and he's clearly in shock. You're not exactly
He's not real.
Standing, to be honest.
Does my medkit have multiple uses?
I would check if it has multiple little ticks next to it, then yes. If not, no. Let's see, medkit.
It's not.
Does not. Yeah, so I think you used them already.
Okay.
I'll say that.
Blister doesn't think that kid is real.
If you want to use one.
I'm just gonna, tap him on the shoulder and see what happens.
Alright, so you go to tap him on the shoulder. You're trying to figure out what's going on here. He doesn't seem to respond. He's just looking at his hands. His lower lip is kind of shaking. He's kind of chittering his teeth a little bit as he's, again, clearly in shock. But again, you're not quite sure how he's even standing after probably it looks like a dozen bullet wounds he's taken to the torso. But yeah, something is clearly wrong here.
Can I take a look at, there's got to be a car number posted somewhere in here, right? Can I get, I want to inspect that. Joystick is very suspicious of, are we going the wrong way?
Okay, so
for somehow.
Car number 21, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you do see number 21 here still. Just wanted to
Okay.
make sure I was
and 21 seems correct. It doesn't look. Is
Yeah.
it digital or is it physical?
It is physical, and it doesn't appear to be tampered with. There is perhaps some graffiti nearby. It maybe has been graffitied on itself, and maybe that's been washed away. But yeah, you can clearly see this is car number 21.
And we needed to get to car 28.
22.
Okay. Next car is our destination. Maybe we just go. If it's even real.
Yep, let's run.
You say next car's our destination, let's go, and suddenly you feel the entire train shift as if it is heading down a steep hill extremely quickly at top speed, and the effect around you is almost like zero gravity with the speed the train is rushing down this slope. And you look outside, and you still see the same exact cityscape around you. You only feel this rushing motion downwards. The cityscape is still completely parallel to the train itself, and it is now difficult to move in here because gravity is causing you to float around, or the lack of gravity is causing you to float around.
I'd like to grab a hold of my drone and see if it can pull me towards car 22.
You grab a hold of your drone. You've probably also got that package in your hand, right? So while
Yeah.
you've got that package, you're holding up the drone with the other hand, and you hear another PA system.
Please, secure your packages or throw them through the window.
Which said, please secure your packages or throw them through the window now, in a very menacing voice. So your drone, I'll say, has enough strength to pull you gently in that direction. It's probably not meant to carry your
it's a
full weight,
small
but
drone.
Yeah, it can propel you through the air slightly. I think that's fair.
Would my
You listen to that,
infiltration
PA? We broke the window in the previous room.
would my infiltration gear have something for like climbing?
Probably. I mean, there's plenty of stuff in the car to climb on. There's lots of, the railings meant for holding onto the chairs, things like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna like use the railing and just kind of like monkey bar my way through.
Okay. What is Quicksilver doing? I haven't heard from you in a minute.
Quicksilver is going to... She's going to look for a way into the next... Because we're trying to get into the next car, right?
Yes.
Yeah, she's going to see if there's anything, if she can hear anything on the other side.
Okay. So we'll assume perhaps Quicksilver's already over by that door while the rest of you are messing with the window and stuff. And Quicksilver, yeah, you peek through the window and you just see an empty train car on the other side. Seems fine.
Okay.
You do notice while sitting here and listening, though, wasn't there just a threat a second ago? There was a really heavy black hound tearing metal behind you and thudding with loud feet, and you look back down that way. Nobody. The door is leaving torn.
Can I tell if I'm being hacked right now?
I think at this point most of you have said something to similar effects, and so I think at this point I'm going to trigger something that happens in this scenario. You perhaps say that out loud, maybe? Ask if you're being hacked, and it's been mentioned several times, I swear we're in a simulation, things like that. And all of a sudden, for all four of you at once, you recall a memory. You met Red, this man who works for the Shadows, this face you dealt with. You went down into the dark room with the tables, the technology all around you, and you laid down. Because this is not a physical place you're standing in. This is a simulacrum, a digital landscape constructed for this task you're going on. They made it look like a train, so it's easier for your brains to work with. But you are all currently in a simulation, and you are all currently... Let me double check the details here. Okay. You're currently all in a simulation, and the goal of this simulation was to protect the neural network of the simulation you are currently within from the Black Hounds who are invading currently. This was your last job, was to sort of watch over this neural network while it completed some other task. But the neural network itself is in control of this simulation. And now that you've realized the situation you're in, you've willingly been put in a simulation, but it appears something has gone wrong. Something has certainly been hacked here. And your memories were taken from you when you were put in here, making you think this was real, making you forget what your original objective was, which was to protect car number 22 from potential virus attacks. And you look back down at that briefcase you've been carrying, and it has a single bright red robotic eye directly next to the handle looking up at you. And you realize you've been carrying the virus. You hear another PA system kick in at this point.
Dear passengers, please get the fuck out through car 12, not 22.
Weird
12.
that I can't hear. Oh, there it is. Oh, it went away.
Oh, weird. Well, I'll repeat it then. It said, "Dear passengers, please get the fuck out through car 12. Not 22, 12."
Yeah, Joysticks just starts cursing. He's like, I knew it. We were going the wrong way.
I holler, chuck the thing out the window, and let's book it.
Yeah, it was in the last car that we were in. Let's go. Let's go. It was car 20 that we broke the window in, right?
I believe so.
Or was it 21?
It's 21, I think.
It might have been 21, actually. I think it was 21. You broke the window in 21 to drop the tracker out. And yeah, you can verify from the tracker data now that, confirming your belief that this is a simulation, indeed, it appears the train has been going through a loop, as you have not made much distance from it, despite the train moving at high speed. So, yes, the window has been broken in car number 21. What are you doing?
Can I try and climb onto the top of the car?
Sure. Yeah, you could do that. Just the window's been cut open, so you could probably do that. I'd say it's probably pretty tricky to do. It might be a little risky because, I mean, obviously, falling off the train would not be good. But so
if we huck this thing out the window, wait, what? Did we win? The virus is gone. What happens?
Well, it's not on us anymore, and then we can, like, get the fuck out like the PA system said.
All right. Direct the drone over to where the window is because I still got the briefcase and huck it out.
All right. You pull back the briefcase to yeet it out the window, and as you do so, the eye on it glows bright, and the briefcase opens up, and four, like, Dr. Octopus-looking tentacles come out of the briefcase, and they grab onto the window frames as it's being thrown, and they start to pull itself back into the train.
I produce... Oh, nice. Okay.
I have a sword. I'm going to remove those limbs.
Real quick before you do so, let me add a clock and reveal that this virus is a skilled opponent, which has a meaning in this rule set. It means the opponent gets to act first. So we'll say, actually, that you go up to slash these tentacles. You say absolutely not, and then the virus, with blinding speed, one of its tentacles swoops up towards you before you're able to bring the blade down onto it, and it just grabs towards your throat. This would be a level 3 harm, but you may resist it.
Okay. I will resist it. So we can use augmentations to resist it, yes?
Yes, if you can argue for why your augmentation works, then in this situation, then you can mark special resistance.
I was going to do a flashback to add new augmentation to my list.
All right.
Right. So a little while back, Woe had to get her lungs replaced, from more or less. There's just like the city's air control in the place where she is not the best. So a lot of smog and that leads to cancer growth. So a lot of the money that would have gone to the shop instead went towards a new set of lungs, some deep breathing lungs that can sustain themselves for a while. Instead of having to take in deep breaths all that often, or all the time, like you would normally. And she was smoking earlier because the cigarette is actually like a medical stimulant to help her adjust to the new cybernetics. So I'm going to declare that, and I'm going to resist being choked by having lungs that are too good, actually.
Okay, that makes sense. So it reaches up, it does manage to grab you by the throat then. And this makes sense because resistance often just reduces the harm you take or the situation that you take instead of completely negating it. So say it does still grab you by the throat, but you don't even flinch. You know that you don't actually need your wind fight for that long right now. And so, yeah, I'll just pass the spotlight to you then. I think that makes sense. What are you doing?
I will check that off, and Woe's mask comes back on, and as she's placing it back on, there's a bit of a wicked grin that you can just catch a glimpse of before it snaps into place, and she's just gonna one by one, not starting with the tentacle that's grabbing around the throat, just one by one start getting chopping off the others. Because she's right where she wants to be.
Alright, yeah, up close and personal, that makes sense. So what kind of role is that going to be?
Aggressive, close combat. Again.
Okay, that makes sense, and I will remind, because I think it hasn't been brought up yet this session, but you can spend 2 stress to push yourself and get an extra die on the roll, potentially, or an ally can assist you for 1 stress of their stress to give you a plus die on the roll. But anyone who assists you suffers the consequences with you.
I'm already at 1 stress.
Okay. I will assist you. I was right there. I was trying to throw it out.
That's true. So, describe how you assist them.
Let's see. So I threw it out there, and I produce so I shrug off the rest of the backpack, and I produce a medium combat drone with scythe blades on its arms, and they also start to swing in at the octopoid tentacles.
Alright, so distracting a little bit, giving Woe a better shot here. So that gives you +1 die on the roll, Woe, and Joystick takes 1 stress.
Alright, so that means I'm at 5 dice. That is my 2nd crit.
Ah, full crit. Excellent. So I realized I didn't actually describe your effect here ahead of time, which I should have done. Apologies. So we'll do it retroactively right now. This thing is considered heavily armored and skilled. The heavily armored thing here comes into play as an edge, which I think would reduce your effect by 1 here. Would you counter with any other edges of your own, or perhaps? Yeah. I think it's a little late to shift the effects. But...
Yeah, I've already rolled. So let's take it as is. I imagine that the crit means I do more than they're expecting.
Yeah, so the crit I think will counteract the heavy armor here, essentially giving you an edge. I think you managed to just chop off one of the tentacles that perhaps while Joystick was assisting you notice one of the tentacles arc up from the top of the ceiling of the train and down towards them, and you just slice it with that one, completely cut that tentacle off, and the remainder of that tentacle sucks back up into the briefcase, and you have done 2 harm to the skill dice. I'll pass the spotlight to Quicksilver. What does Quicksilver do?
Quicksilver is gonna pull out a 2nd pistol and just start blowing this thing away.
So let's see, a pistol, it is heavily armored, so this would reduce your effect by 1. And I think here the consequences will be quite severe if you buff this up. If you suffer any consequences, you might take up to a level 3 harm from this, a free threat, because it is quite
Okay.
Can I spend a stress to assist?
Sure, how would you like to assist?
I'm just gonna make a lot of noise and be very distracting.
Okay, sure.
Oh, and I'll throw bits of my infiltration kit that I don't think I'll need. I'll just chuck them at it. It's not gonna do damage. Miserable.
I like that. Okay, being a professional annoyance. Excellent. So +1 die on whatever this roll is. It is effect 1, threat 3 currently. If you want to establish any other edges, you may, but that's the starting.
I'll stick with this. Sweet.
Alright, was it a crit though? It was not. Just
It was not.
So, you take aim at the, like, bright red eye on the box, just seeing if you can take out what might be its head, maybe, you're not really sure, you don't really see a head anymore, but, it races up one of its tentacles to block the shot, it notices you just in time, and the bullet sinks deep into the tentacle, and that tentacle starts to glitch and spark a little bit, and it's still attached, it can still swing it like a blunt weapon, but doesn't seem to be doing quite so hot anymore, it's done one harm to it. I think back to Joystick. What is Joystick doing?
Yeah, so Joystick steps back from where the briefcase is and goes full in on the Neuralink and just starts commanding the drone to start slicing away.
That makes sense. So what kind of role do you think this would be?
I think it would be aggressive piloting drones.
Okay, sure, that makes sense. Aggressive piloting drones. Is your drone like the basic equipment, or was it like an upgraded thing, or like what's the deal with the drone's potency level?
Okay. Oh, that's actually a good point. I will flash back to before this mission. I mean, assuming all of our gear is like what we knew that we had when we went into the simulation. We flash it back to when his machine shop when he was upgrading the drone, giving it like a nano edge coating to help pierce armor.
So
it's 2 stress for the flashback, right?
yes, so 2 stress to mark the flashback down, and I don't remember if we covered that as well.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Alright, yeah, so 2 stress for that. I think that makes sense. Very good, so cool. So you've added this extra edge to the weaponry of this drone. It's going to swoop down and try to mess the thing up with its blades. Your aggressive drone piloting, I think you said, that makes sense. So
yeah.
That'll give you an extra edge offensively, it sounds like. So this will be 2 effect and 3 threat.
Okay. So I've got 1 aggressive and I've got 2 in piloting. So it's 3 dice. I'm not going to sacrifice another one for extra edge. Oh, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3,
4. Okay, so 4 does give you a partial success, thankfully. So what happens here is perhaps you're focusing a bit much on the drone and its effectiveness, and you do manage to get full effectiveness out of it. The drone goes right to the briefcase itself and just starts chopping away at the joints of the tentacles themselves right before they meet into the briefcase, and the briefcase is spending some time trying to dodge out of the way, and it's getting cut up. The actual outer shell of the briefcase is getting cut up, and sparks are starting to fly out of it. But while you're focusing on the drone, it does manage to swipe in with one of its tentacles at you, and it kind of, all of the 4 points of the claw at the end organized together into a blade as it just slices across your chest for 3 harm, unless you're resistant.
Okay. Sorry, I had to drop the gift because it was funny. See, how would I resist that if I could?
Good question.
I don't know if I have anything for that, so I don't think I can resist it.
Okay, well you could take armor from your gear if you have a gear left, actually.
No, the drone was my last 2 gear slots.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So, yeah, if you don't have an approach you like, then yeah, level 3 harm would take you out. It wouldn't be death, but you would be like a bad situation where you have to push yourself into the ground.
Got it. And that, could I smart my way through that?
Sure, I think that
because Neuralink is kind of meant to be something that you can control the drone and also do your own thing at the same time.
That makes sense. So you're using your extra brain power to focus on 2 things at once and manage to dodge. I think that counts.
Okay.
So rolling with smart works for me.
Yeah, because that's like perception and whatever. So.
Yeah.
Rolling 2. 2 6s. Hell yeah.
2 6s. That is a crit. That is too easy. That's it. No stress. I'm gonna say with a crit here, you completely dodge out of the way of this blade. You look very badass doing it as it sinks into the floor of the car instead. And during this time, what is Falcon doing? I forgot to mark the 2 harm reducing virus. It is barely hanging on.
Well, Falcon doesn't have any weapons. So,
Are you out of load to take weapons, or are you just establishing that Falcon doesn't take weapons with him?
I'm out of load.
Okay, fair enough.
And I'm establishing that Falcon chose not to take weapons because she wanted to go with the inconspicuous child, and finding knives in a backpack would totally ruin that.
Would be a funny surprise though.
Yes.
Sounds like England.
So you don't have any weapons, but you might have other stuff to do here. I mean, this virus it's got most of its tentacles cut off now. It's barely hanging on to the inside of the train here. You could just try to shove it out. You could try to free Woe, who is still being grappled by it. Essentially, it's got Woe by there's a few things you can do there. Or you could try to set somebody else up. That's an action you can do that will make the next person's action better. There's a few options.
So, you know that little thing I used to open the door?
Yeah.
Can I use it as a clamp to just squeeze the arm that has Woe until it lets go?
Okay. Yeah, I think that works. I think it doesn't sound like a tool made for that purpose, so I think I'll give you less effect for it. But you already have level 1 harm.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would actually be 0 effect. So that's gonna be no wait. You got rid of the level 1 harm because of negative. Never mind. So this would be level 1 effect, which is not a full effect. So you would either need multiple rolls here, or you could bump this up to a worse danger if you fail the roll, but you would get the full success. Or you could push yourself for 2 stress to increase your effect without increasing your danger.
Yeah, I'll put. How would I set up Woe, or how would I set up somebody else? How does that mechanic work?
So with the setup roll, you make an action roll, and describe narratively how you're setting somebody up for something, and then it grants them an edge in their action. So you could say you give cover to somebody, for example, or distract an enemy, which you did for assisting earlier. That also works. You could, I mean, it could make sense that maybe you start to hold on to that tentacle for Woe, and then that gives Woe an easier time breaking free or something like this. Some options.
I'm just gonna start throwing things again.
Alright, so distraction.
Yes. I'm gonna go full, like... Can I do smart and streetwise just to make myself as annoying of a distraction as I possibly can?
Sure. I think that makes sense. I will say this virus is a very strong opponent. It clearly has like a machine mind. It's not like a human mind. I think it'll be difficult to distract, so I think I will also give this a minus effect, but you can still make it work. It's also not a task that puts you in as much danger as the going up and stuff, so I would put this at a 1 effect, 1 threat to start.
This thing's only got 1 left, right? Yeah.
Yep. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do it. 2 successes.
Ooh, a crit. So that goes up to a full success then, a full effect, which does indeed give somebody an edge on the next roll. So this thing is mildly distracted by things you're throwing at it. Perhaps with a crit, you actually manage to chuck something, and it like cracks the lens on that red eye on the briefcase, and it like is squinting back a little bit, and kind of rearing back out of the train car, not paying attention to what's around it at all. And I think we're gonna drop it back to Quicksilver, who doesn't have anything.
Oh, that's in my zoom and enhance eye. Also has like a laser focus, so I'm just like shining lasers at different points on it to try and simulate a sniper gun too.
So Quicksilver, our resident assassin, what are you doing?
Quicksilver is going to try and run in and take a stab at it. Just try and finish it off.
Since you have barely hanging on, it's trying to pull itself back into the train, but you guys have cut it up, you've decimated it, you've pushed it back out. It's not making good work here, and you can finish it off here. So what kind of roll would you like to make?
I'll do an aggressive post-combat roll.
I think
Can
this
I-
would be... Sorry?
I was gonna say, can I use my enhanced reflexes to add an edge to that? And mark
You
it
may.
stressed?
You are stressed for enhanced reflexes. You dash in there with stunning speed. I think this would be normally for harm. Are you trying to push it out of the train, or are you trying to hit it?
I'm trying to hit it and like kill it or whatever.
Okay, perfect. So I'll say this is just a 2-3 then. 2 effect, 3 threat. Just a standard hit will do 2. You could adjust that if you wish by moving the whole scale up or down 1, or you could
Wait,
declare
doesn't Quicksilver have the edge from my thing as well?
That's true. So you have 2 edges. I'll say the distraction edge could be either offensive or defensive here, and your reflexes could be either offensive or defensive.
Could I put them both into offense?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's just make it overkill. I like that. I like that.
Sure.
So you just get in there. Yeah, the best kind of kill. I agree. Yeah. So you got plenty of edges here. So this would be actually 4 effects. 3 threat. Putting it all on the line. All right. So you rush in. You kind of ignore the danger a little bit because you know you just need to take this thing out. Things are going very wrong around you. And I'll say that it, in an act of desperation, lashes out at you with one of the tentacles and manages to just sort of scrape like up your chest, up your collarbone, and across your shoulder with one of its blades, just like this rough cut up there as you kind of dodge underneath the blade, not quite fast enough to get out under it in time. And then you stab it right in that red eye, and it kind of blinks a bit, sparks, and then all of the tentacles go limp, and it falls out of the train. So that will be a level 3 harm, I did mention, because it was level 3 threat. Unless you resist it.
So what happens if I resist it?
There's a couple things. You could either mark the special armor to, if you can, the special resistance, under the resistance/armor section, if you can leverage one of your augments to help you resist, and then you don't take any stress. If you don't want to use an augment or you don't want to mark that off yet, you can roll one of your approaches to explain how you're dodging it or getting out of this trouble, and then we'll give you some stress based on that roll.
I see. Okay. I am going to use some armor.
Okay, cool. So you declare you have some armor on you then. I did say that it scraped along your shoulder, which didn't seem like a place that would make sense, but I'll retcon that a little bit and say it tried to stab directly at your chest, like directly beneath the ribs, kind of the base of the ribs there, and it just meets this plate of metal underneath your clothes and glances off to the side, and you get like a little bit of tear in your shirt, but otherwise completely fine, as it did not expect the armor plating down there. And it appears you're fine, and you've stabbed this thing. It's fallen out of the train. It goes tumbling into the distance, and for now you're safe, but you're still in the simulation. What's up?
When the virus grabbed me and yanked me towards it, did it yank me outside of the train?
That's a good question, because you never did establish that you got free from it, but I think I did say all of the tentacles went limp when it got killed, so I think it let go of you then.
All right. I like to think, just because it's cool, that Woe was outside of the train while being grappled.
Okay.
But however, as soon as it starts falling away, she flips the sword to her flesh hand, whips it around with her prosthetic, and the prosthetic arm is actually a claw, a cryptic limbic actuator winch. So it's a grapple arm, essentially. And she just launches the hand inside, and the claws dig into the roof, and she'll reel herself in.
Perfect. I like that. I like that description. Sweet. So that was your signature augmentation, that it sounds like?
Yeah, that's my signature.
Just I want to make sure that wasn't another flashback, but that does make sense. Okay, so you described the arm earlier. Perfect. Okay, so you reel yourself back in, and you're all back in the train car, in train car 21. And you're safe for now, but the PA system has been screaming at you to get to get the fuck out at car 12, not 22, 12.
Start booking it towards car 12.
Remember, we locked the doors between 19 and 20.
Let's see if they're still locked or if the simulation unlocked them.
That's a good point.
So you get from car 21 down into 20 easily enough. It appears that the train has given up on any sense of trying to fool you into being immersed in the simulation at this point. There's no more passengers. It's given up on that. So the car is eerily empty as you run, and there's some scattered, it looks like, possessions of the passengers and things that the train didn't bother to erase, but they're not in your way as you continue barreling down the road. But you see, at the far end of this car, with a torn open metal door that's just been bent back out of place, the glass shattered, that large black hound is up ahead, and he's sort of patrolling the car ahead of you. He hasn't noticed you yet. He's looking down the car still, it looks like. It looks like he's looking for you, potentially. But what are you guys doing?
I'm going to send my medium drone in to just mess with the dude. Try and, like, press him up in a corner so we can just all skip past.
All right. Makes sense. So you send that in, trying to just, mess with him, distract him.
Yeah, just trying to, like, get its blades around it, just kind of grapple him, push him, pull him into a corner.
Okay, so I will reveal...
At least out of the main thoroughfare.
That makes sense. I will reveal this clock associated with this Black Hound counter agent with 4 segments, which means you're going to need a total of 4 effect on something to get it, which means either a 3 effect roll with a crit or like a group action or something. It's a big beefy boy. It's not going to be easy to do this. You could bet everything on like a drone action like this, but you would probably need like a crit or something to do it, or a lot of edges. But there's a chance that would work. I'm just laying out the situation ahead of time here.
Okay.
So you can change course on that if you want, or you can still try and send it with a drone. Even if you don't take him out with the drone entirely here and mess with him entirely, you could still drain some segments of the clock and make it easier by the time you get there, things like that. So
Yeah. The idea is to make it easier to bypass him when we get to that point.
Sweet. So go ahead and make this roll. I'll say, let's see.
So I think it'll be my smart drone piloting again.
That makes sense. So the effect level here will be 2, and the threat level will be 3, because if he spots you, again, this is a very dangerous, heavily armed target that you're messing with here.
Got it. Okay.
Unless you want to establish some other... So you're using the drone to mess with it, not like attack it, right?
Yeah, the drone it's just trying to, like, press him into a corner and harry him and keep him occupied.
Oh, okay. So that might still work with your edge you got earlier for the nano blade stuff. So that would be 3 effect then. That makes sense.
Okay. All right. So here's my roll.
Can I take stress to add a die to that?
Yeah, if you can describe how you help mess with this guy.
I am going to see. Flashback to when I actually, you know what? I'll just use the laser eye thing again.
Okay, sure. Yeah, that makes sense. So +1 die here as you're distracting him even further.
Okay. 4 and a 6.
4 and a 6. Okay. That's a full success. So you manage to push him back into the corner. You get 3 effect on him. I'll say your drone actually probably messes him up pretty good here, as he's clearly heavily armored, but this upgrade you've made to your drone that's given you these extra the nano machines on the blade made it extra thin, extra sharp. He expects to be able to block it immediately, and then probably the blade sinks into his arm immediately when he tries to block it, and he gets surprised and is put on his back foot trying to back away from this drone and fight it off without being able to block. And he is starting to shoot with this heavy machine gun you can see is attached to his left arm. He's just sweeping it across the car, but unfortunately for him, you got a full success, right? So he can't really do much here. He's forced back into the corner, but he sees you all entering, and he's clearly now in full combat mode. So Somebody else, what you doing here? Finish off this guy who's clearly quite strong himself, but he's on the back foot here, and you can take him out with a shot. Since Joystick and Falcon are already helping out here. Silver or Row? What are you doing?
Can I use my my enhanced reflexes to look for like a weak point?
Sure. Would that be like trying to set somebody else up for it, like show them what kind of deal?
Well, I was gonna use that to augment my like a ranged combat attack.
Right. Okay. Oh, I see. So you're using the enhanced reflexes not as a roll now, but also manage. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So enhanced reflexes.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes.
Cool.
So this would definitely be. He's heavily armored. Unless your weapon is upgraded, this is going to be one effect. But I'll say this is only 2 threat because I did describe him as like back on his back foot now, dealing with his rogue. So 1 effect, 2 threat.
I'll use the edge to make it 2 effect.
Okay, 2 effects, 2 threat.
All right.
Alright, so we'll say you do manage to get him with this shot, but as you're taking aim and looking for this weak spot, I described him earlier as swinging this machine gun around, kind of spraying all around him, and unfortunately you're going to get caught in just some of that randomness, right? Just a couple of the bullets are going to head in your direction. Just as you fire, you hit him, and then he jerks away from you, and that motion of him turning around is what swings the machine gun in your direction. So I think this would be, again, a level 2 harm, I said, because that was the consequence I laid out ahead of time. His bullets, only one of them hits you, we'll say, instead of a whole spray of them. But you could resist that, but it would be level 2 harm otherwise.
So can I use an approach to try and just avoid it?
So with a resistance roll, you would roll an approach of your choosing, unless you have an augment that you think would apply to it, in which case you would just mark off the special resistance. If you don't want to do that, or you don't have one, then you could roll the approach you think is relevant, and that would determine the amount of stress you take from dodging.
Okay. I will do a smart athletics then.
Sorry, I mean approach, not a skill.
Oh, just an approach. I see. Okay. In that case, I'm going to use a... Yeah, screw it. I'll try it. Is there a way I could, Yeah, no, I guess I'll just have to use a smart. I guess it's the one that makes the most sense for this. I don't know if I could use an aggressive.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. You can see it coming before it exactly comes at you, so you can dodge it. You planned your attack such that you knew you would shoot your choosing for that. So yeah, smart works. So roll your smart, and we'll see how much stress you take. Hopefully you don't overload.
So I only have 1 die, so just like whatever that die has. Oh yeah, it's if you have no dice, then that's when you roll 2 and take the worst.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, a 3. So you do avoid the effect. I'm gonna say you do dodge this bullet entirely still. But with 3, you have to mark 3 stress. Does that take you to max stress, or are you still good?
I am 1 behind max stress.
Ooh, just barely. Okay, so you're on the edge here. You're about to overload, but you're not too bad yet. And you've taken out the Blackhound counter agent. And yeah, you're no longer in direct danger. This appeared to be one of their big threats they were putting at you, but you guys, with the use of quite powerful drone and some teamwork, and then one last shot to take him out, taken out the Blackhound counter agent. And now your goal is still, I'll say even once you remembered this whole memory about being in a simulation and the virus and all that, the objective that's displayed on your HUD would actually update to evac at car 12.
Okay. Keep booking it.
All right. So you run down the train. I think at this point it's fairly safe to say you've taken out most of the threats. I think
And I've got small drone scouting ahead too.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. You've taken out the Black Hounds, you've taken out the Skilled Virus, you've taken out the Black Hound counter agent. You realized you're in a simulation, and at this point, the simulation itself is aiding you in getting there. So I think it's helping you avoid the other threats along the way. And especially since you've taken out the virus and you've started taking out some of the hold on this place that it had, you make it safely to Car 12, where there is just like a large, sort of like digital flickering door in the air, and you assume that's your extraction point.
Let's go through the door.
This should be it. Let's get out of here. This was one job for sure.
Before we do that, whoa, just like to give the door a kind of a once over, if possible.
Sure.
I don't really have any skills for that specifically, so it'd just be smart.
I can use my zoom and enhance eye to help.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would say there's not much threat here, so I would say this is just a level 1 threat, I guess. Actually, you know what? I'm pretty sure in these kinds of systems, when there's no threat involved at all, I can just give you what you need. So we'll say if you think it makes narrative sense for Woe to look it over and for Woe to potentially find something dangerous here, then I'll just tell you. You recognize now that you've been in the simulation. You've worked through these memories that have come flooding back to you. These memories that were suppressed, whether by digital hacking or something. You imagine there's some sort of brain hacking going on here. You've slowly been recovering memories as you've been running around here and fighting, and things have become more familiar to you. And you've been reminded of things like you see this virus and you recognize like, whoa, I saw like a wireframe model of this virus when we were described coming in here. Like this is what we need to watch out for. And this reminded you of other things. And finally, you see this door, and it reminds you of the door you were shown during the mission briefing by Red, this worker for the Shadows, who showed you like, yeah, now this is the place you're going to want to get to after the job is done, right? You take out all the baddies, you get to this place, and then you come back to the land of the living, and we go our separate ways.
Okay.
All right.
All
so
right.
I assume everyone heads in.
Yep, going through the door.
Yeah.
All right. So as soon as you enter through the door, you initially just see darkness. And it's because your minds have been shoved back into your own brains. You're waking up from this digitally induced coma you're all in. And you blink your eyes open, and you are in this scene, which you all would probably recognize. Wait, did I activate it? There we go. Which is your players might not recognize, but your characters would certainly recognize. This is where Red has been working, where you've met with him while arranging this job and all of that. Those 4 tables are where your 4 characters were located during this whole thing. You laid down here. You had the like neurodes placed all over the outside of your head. You got jacked into the system, and then Red had kicked things off. Now, previously, you were in here because Red was having you go on this digital adventure to help protect this network that was very important. But, yeah, you wake up, and Red says, oh, goodness, all right, good. You did a good job in there. That's great. I'm glad you're all alive. That was a little sketchy there for a second.
Yeah, Red, what the hell?
Hey, man, hey, it's fine. Hey, listen, That wasn't me. I didn't do that. That was the Black Hounds. The Black Hounds, this place is compromised. I'm gonna have to pick up everything and move again, right? Listen, this is as much an inconvenience for me as it was for all of you. I assure you. This place, it's gone. I can't use this place ever again. They know where it is now.
Does he
Rough
seem
for
like
you.
he's
Am I still
telling
getting
the
paid?
truth?
Does it seem like he's telling the truth? That's a question I'll save for later, actually. Let's handle Joystick's question first. Of you still getting paid? Yes. We'll still pay you, of course. You did a good job. You defended the network. You got out alive. Obviously, he gestures around to the 4 of you, and yeah, you got the virus out of there. It was great. Do full marks, honestly. Great job. So yeah, payment will be absolutely incoming. Don't worry about that. I've made arrangements with each of you separately. And you asked if it looked like he was lying. I would say that Red is a very hard person to read. And I don't want to make you roll for this now because there's going to be a roll a little later that'll work some of this out. But you know that Red is a very hard person to read, and in this business, everybody fucks everybody. There's not necessarily ever someone you can fully trust, but sometimes, especially when you're asking for something especially risky you need your hands on, you gotta trust somebody even if they're a little sketchy. So all you can do at this point is hope that he's good to his word. Or you could try to intimidate him. That's always possible. I don't know. There's if you don't think your character would trust him, you could try something here. I'm not going to stop you from doing that, but I'm just letting you know you probably don't trust Red at all.
I was just gonna see if I could make a streetwise thing to read his body language.
Yeah.
Kind of like be one step ahead of him.
Yes, I would, but we're about to get into what's called the angle roll, which will kind of encompass all of that together.
Okay.
So save that thought, basically.
Yeah, I mean, Joystick doesn't believe him, but he's not pushing it right now. He really wants what he was promised.
That makes sense.
He might not work with Red for a little while, but...
Well, this was your one last job, right?
Yeah. It's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, anyone else have other words for the scene before we go into the angle roll? All right. Cool. So the angle roll is a special thing we get to do at the end of one of these runs you go on. Each of you defined an angle for your character coming into this, something they wanted out of this run, something that they were willing to risk it all and go on this one last run in order to get something. It could have been getting out, it could have been making someone pay, it could be looking after someone, it could be upgrading your life, it could be learning the truth, or it could be taking a stand. There's a whole bunch of options there, and the game asks you to write some details about it. I won't ask you those details at this minute, we'll get to that. But the important thing for the angle roll is we'll go in order, player by player, and we'll describe what happens based on a roll of the dice, based on how this adventure went for you. So, each of you gets to choose the approach for your angle, trying to work out... this will basically be like a montage scene of what happens to your character in the epilogue here. So what approach should they be taking? Are they being smart with the leverage they've been given here? Are they being aggressive with it, right? Maybe that implies making someone pay or whatever. Whatever approach you choose, you'll be rolling that. I don't think anybody got any glitched approaches. That part of the angle roll doesn't apply. None of you took on any debts during this, I don't think. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, debts. You can incur debts to avoid paying some stress costs on some upgrades and stuff sometimes. But if no one did, you avoid some negatives on your angle roll here, because people can come calling for their debts even after you try to get out of the game. Let's see. You did not overlook or fail to comply with any of the critical requirements of this mission. That's great. So you don't take any negatives there. I don't think anybody got anything extra out of this mission either. Nobody found any extra bounties or extracted any extra loot. So this is going to be a flat roll basically, which could be good honestly, because most of the steps in the angle roll are seeing how many negatives we apply. Getting out with a flat roll is pretty solid, honestly. Cool. So everybody pick an angle for how they get what they want out of this run. And we'll get on the list. Let's start with Woe. What approach are you using to get what you want out of this? And tell us your angle, too.
So I'm going to choose the aggressive approach. Woe's angle here is look after them. She went into this job to secure the funding, clout, and/or licensing to ensure that the gear shop that she helps run can stay independent in the world of ever increasing corporate acquisitions. Exponential. Exponentially increasing. She's just going to use this to make it clear that it is off limits.
All right, so let's see. What did you get out of the score? Maybe just brainstorming with a little bit. Maybe some information here to let you go and like really intimidate the fuck out of some executive somewhere and like say, no, this place is off limits. I'm here to tell you that, or something like that.
Yeah. Let's say that in exchange, for letting this license stay independent, well, more or less blackmails a CEO with the knowledge that a number of the licenses that they have been acquiring to manage their own gear shop monopoly have been acquired through various frauds and gray deals.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Things
So
that
let's-
wouldn't harm them exactly financially if it ever came out. It would certainly harm them reputationally, because
Of
that's
course.
something everyone does, but no one wants to admit.
Yes, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, that tracks. And that, I mean, even the reputation could come back to them financially as well, so that makes sense. Cool, so let's roll that aggressive approach. You don't add any skill to this, and we'll just see how well your character comes out in this.
2 dice. I come out on top, baby.
You come out on top. Yeah, so not a crit, but a full success. So you get out of it. It says here, you get out of it mostly intact. So I think what that means here, we'll say that Woe is in your workshop, in your gear shop there, and you receive a phone call from the executive you have blackmailed. They'll call you directly. and says, I don't like this. I don't like it one bit. But, well, I don't have much say in the matter. You have kept my hands tied. We'll see how long they're tied for.
I don't need you to like it, I just need you to sign it.
Consider it signed. Begrudgingly. And the line cuts. So, this sounds like, for now, you've bought yourself potentially a large amount of time. But maybe this isn't your last run after all. It doesn't feel like you've truly gotten out, and you question, can anyone truly get out of trouble in this city? Moving on to Quicksilver. What was your angle and what approach are you taking?
My angle was to get out,
Very good.
as she wants to run away from the job and this life with her child.
Alright, and we worked out in DM so I think let's get to the roll and then I can describe this and see how it goes.
Okay, so is there a way I could use aggressive for this?
Actually, I think so. Yeah, I have an idea for that, so go ahead and roll that.
Okay.
I think I've got a good idea for that, if you're willing to trust me on this.
I sure am.
Awesome.
A 2 and a 5.
Alright, a 5 is you did it, but you know it won't last. How do you prepare? So I think we're going to cut to a crime scene. A police vehicle is descending from above, like a hovercraft flying in from above, lights flashing, and out comes 2 detectives in their cyber trench coats. As they pull back the yellow tape and step into the scene, there are cops around interviewing witnesses, and this is a small recharging station for vehicles, for flying vehicles that need their batteries recharged here. And it appears that somebody rushed in here, guns blazing, trying to rob the place. And wouldn't you know it, it's the body of the infamous assassin, Quicksilver, is on the ground. Shot to death, riddled with bullets. Completely out of the blue that this mythical assassin would die in a random dump like this. And the detectives are a bit puzzled by this, and so are the witnesses all around. The shopkeeper is apparently the one that shot and killed her, and he seems a bit shaken up by the whole experience. And while one detective is very curious about how this crazy assassin could come to this, the other detective convinces him, Yeah, man. Just go over there and just fill out those paperwork. I'll keep inspecting the body. You seem a bit shaken, man. And so the guy seems puzzled. He's scratching his head with his fingers. He walks away and begins signing some forms electronically in front of him, like holograms in front of him. While the other detective leans down, reaches up to the head of Quicksilver and pulls a black box from their skull, tucks it into his coat, and says, Yeah, the body looks fine. It looks like a standard case. He broke in and got shot. I don't see anything suspicious, and we zoom out on that scene. We later see a completely different body. Quicksilver, what does your new body look like?
Oh boy, I didn't even think this through. A much older looking person, and long dark hair, as she's just sitting with a child about 2 years old, hopefully in a peaceful place.
Indeed. And I think we'll see you. You've got the child. Perhaps the child is very young. You put them in a crib or something nearby, right? And you look over in the corner of the room. You just glance at a random corner and then walk out of the room. But the camera pans down beneath the floor, and we see a compartment that has a hidden compartment of the room that has Quicksilver's guns, a stash of money, things like that, all stashed in there just in case. So potentially, one of the detectives was still a bit sketched out with the situation, and maybe not everyone would believe that Quicksilver would die in such a way, but as long as they don't figure it out, hopefully we're safe.
Sweet.
Alright. Let's move on to Falcon. What was your angle, and how are you trying to approach it?
Alright, so my angle was learn the truth. And so my younger sister had a very abrupt personality change after taking a new office job with a major corporation. And I want to know how or why, and if it's possible to undo it.
Alright, sounds good. What kind of approach are you taking to figure that out?
Smart.
Smart, okay. So perhaps you were given a critical piece of information in figuring out who you can talk to about this or something. Like,
Yeah.
identifying the key witness.
Yeah, I bargained for the piece of information that would for sure set me on the right path.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's see how this shakes out.
Not great. I rolled 2 2s.
Oh no, okay. So we'll say with 2 2s is a failure. You unfortunately were led down the wrong path. We'll say, let's say we see Falcon up on the roof of a building late at night. It's a stormy night. There's acid rain coming from the balconies inside the mall, and you were typing away at a terminal. You have infiltrated an incredibly tall skyscraper of this mega corporation that you think was involved. You're pretty sure this is the place you're looking for. They have to be involved somehow. And as you hack through their systems, you just can't find any evidence anywhere. Looking through files, looking through databases, one after another, trying to find any evidence of anything, using all your pre-gathered programs that you found to scan all this data as rapidly as possible. But it comes up blank. You try again, it comes up blank. You try a third time, it comes up blank. How does Falcon respond to this? It appears you've not found what you were looking for.
She swears under her breath, assumes that Rig just screwed her over, and decides to get the job done herself anyways, whatever it takes.
Alright. Fair enough. So perhaps there will be more jobs for Falcon in the future, unfortunately. Another long path ahead of you on the road to finding out what happened to your sister, whoever it is that did it.
Then can I get my actual sister back?
Yes, exactly. And finally, but hopefully not least, certainly not least, Joystick. What's up with Joystick?
So Joystick, a little bit of backstory for Joystick to set the scene for this. He wasn't the only Neuralinked drone operator. During war, because they happen in Cyberpunk all the time. Some corporation decided that they were going to cybernetically enhance humans and give them, this drone Neuralink. But after the war, they started disappearing. So he wanted to know what happened to those people, and if he suspects the corporation ordered their deaths or had them killed afterwards because they're dangerous.
That makes sense. So this sounds like you're trying to
find the truth.
Find the truth. Find the information. Okay, yeah, that works. What's your approach to figuring that out?
I think Smart he was bargaining for. So it's a similar kind of situation, I think, to Falcon. Like, he bargained for a pointer to where he could probably find that information, and he's off looking into it.
All right. Let's see what you get.
Yeah. 5 and a 2.
5 and a 2. That is a mixed success. You did it, but you know it won't last. How do you prepare? That's an interesting one for this. So let's see. I think that implies that you probably uncover something that means, yes, you are definitely in danger. So there's more danger in your future. But you do probably find out the truth. So let's see. You probably do find that the mega corporation that did all of this is definitely hunting down these grown individuals. Let's see. Let's brainstorm what that truth could be, though. Maybe it's there was a critical flaw in the system that you uncover that means you only have so many years left, or something that you could fix, or maybe it's maybe it's they're trying to make all of those old models obsolete so they can release a new one, or
they're Blade running us.
They're Blade running you, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're next on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're next on the list would make a lot of sense too.
They're decommissioning the Neuralink operators.
Okay, so you find a list of all of the Neuralink operators with all of their names checked off one by one. Their records have begun to be erased. You can see some of them. Not all of their records have been erased because you found some of them yourself, but you are the last one that has not been taken out yet. You can see you're at the bottom of the list, and you're next. So, you've still got more work to do, more work to prepare, and you've got to defend yourself in the future, but at least you found out that you're not going crazy. There is indeed something going on here, and you know who's doing it.
Cool.
Alright. So that is what happens to our 4 runners here, who have gone on their, quote, last score, quote. And unfortunately, the city won't let you get out that cleanly, pretty much ever, but you've done your best. You did a great job with the run, and the legend of these characters will go on. Thank you all for joining me tonight. This was a great time.
Yeah, this was cool.
Yeah, this was fun.
This is really fun.
This was a lot more creative, and I think it had less boundaries than like the regular Cyberpunk rulebook, because I've played kind of a basic version of that before.
Yeah, that's much more.
That has so many mechanics. That it's like range for like weapons, inside outside ranges. It's wild.
Oh yeah. Are you spraying? Are you firing individual shots?
Yeah.
How many shots do you have to roll?
It's a little bit more class based too.
Yes, that makes sense. No, I have a huge thing for Forge in the Dark games. I think they're super fun to run, super fun to play. Just very creative exercises. It's good times.
Forge in the Dark is
thanks for
so
having me.
valuable. I love it.
It is, yeah. Hey, no problem. Hey, feel free to stick around in the server, because I'll assuredly be running more stuff in the future, especially since our long-running campaign is going to be finishing up in a couple weeks here. I'll have more time for other things, so.
Yeah, I was poking at the other events in there. I'm like, ooh, some things. Oh, that's certainly. Oh well.
Yes. Of course. But hey, more will be propping up in the future for sure.